Where have all the payphones gone? An article by Ben Robinson, Payment Solutions Specialist with Aperion Payment Solutions. How we pay for things has changed. The shift to digital payments has already begun. It isn't an issue of technology, but rather the perception of that technology and the changes in consumer behavior that follow. Steve Jobs and Andy Rubin, the never-wed parents of the now ubiquitous smartphone. I'll let you decide which is the mother and which is the father in this metaphor. They shared parenting time through its early childhood, all the while very publicly expressing their utter contempt for each other. What's most remarkable about these two men, and this new technology, is not so much what they created, but rather what they will have served to destroy. Okay, the word destroy is a bit dramatic here. Maybe vanished is better fitting? Remember when David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear? Yeah, well, it's like that. Do you have a landline phone? Probably not. It took nearly 100 years for there to be a landline telephone in 90% of homes in America. By the year 2000, statistically, all homes in this country had a telephone. However, at some point in 2015, the number of households without a landline grew to outnumber the number of households with one. Only 46% of American households still have a landline in 2017. Remember payphones? In the mid to late 90s, there were nearly 2.2 million payphones in the US. Now, there are less than 500,000, and those in varying states of serviceability. Where have all the payphones gone? How do you vanish 1.7 million of something so culturally critical? The answer? You don't. David Copperfield didn't vanish the Statue of Liberty. He simply changed the perspective of the audience so that they no longer saw it in front of them. He literally shifted the ground, in this case a platform, beneath them, and did so subtly that they didn't even notice. When the curtain dropped, their perspective had changed, just enough that it no longer included a 305-foot tall landmark. So too did the cell phone, and its evolution, the smartphone, shift the ground beneath us, just enough that we no longer were looking at the landline in our kitchen or the payphone on the street corner. The landline was still there, and the payphone still existed, at least for a while, but we no longer could see them from our new perspective. Eventually, they disappeared from the physical landscape the way they had our perception of it. Okay, I'll admit, Jobs and Rubin didn't invent the cell phone itself, and despite the accelerator effect that the smartphone had on adoption of cell phones in general, a lot of the momentum for the changes cell phones caused started before the birth of the smartphone. Now, David Copperfield did his trick all by himself. Well, except for the camera guys and the helicopter crew and the dozens of construction and rigging workers, and of course the guys who set up and ran the radar station. But stay with me here. If you aren't quite impressed with the Steve and Andy Magic Show so far, stay tuned, because the next two tricks are even better. It took approximately 40 years before statistically all homes in the US had at least one television. There are now as many or more television sets as there are human beings in the United States. US households average almost 3 television sets each. Americans have always loved TV, but some new trends are emerging. Between 2009 and 2015, the number of American households without a television doubled. In 2016, Netflix reported that at least half of its subscribers viewed content from their smartphone at some point during any given month. Another 2016 report showed that the average number of smartphones per household is very nearly the same as the number of televisions. It was 2.8 televisions per and 2.4 smartphones per on average. Did it really only take a quarter of the time for Americans to own as many smartphones as they do televisions? Could Americans be slowly coming to neglect the beloved idiot box for the new mobile and smart devices like smartphones and tablets? In an industry where size has always mattered, are we starting to see the smart devices take a swipe at the big boys with a bigger isn't always better approach? There's a whole generation coming up watching TV on an iPad while laying upside down on the couch eating Cheetos. Now, TV hasn't disappeared by any means, but there certainly has been a change in perspective in regards to the information and entertainment via video. The curtain is not yet completely down on this one, and the big reveal has yet to come. Okay, by now you get the point. It's not really about Andy and Steve, but the cell phone that evolved into the smartphone, and the smartphone that has evolved into the smart devices that are so much more than just a phone. It's certainly not about landlines or payphones or whether you binge watched the latest season of Orange is the New Black in your living room or in your sleeping bag at 2 a.m. on that camping trip last summer. Steve and Andy's smart devices have more tricks up their sleeves. For their next act, they will make everyone's wallet disappear. Now, we're not talking about picking your pocket on the train during the morning commute. This is the greatest vanish of all time. They are going to make all of your cash and even your credit and debit cards disappear. While only 33% of millennials own a credit card, 100% of 18 to 29-year-olds in the US have a cell phone. 92% have a smartphone. The average US millennial spends 3.1 hours per day, and 25% of millennials worldwide spend more than 5 hours per day interacting with their smartphone. A third of millennials have used a digital wallet in the past 12 months, and their demand for speed and convenience is driving the adoption rate for digital payments up every year. The largest generation of consumers in America is squarely focused on digital payments. MasterCard found that digital payments were mentioned in 75% of social media conversations that discussed methods of payment. The shift in payments has already taken place, and the customers your business will rely on for the rest of your working life have no more use for a big wad of cash in their back pocket than they do a payphone on the corner. Are you ready for digital payments, pay at the table capability for restaurants? Or are you so busy staring at the cash in the till that you'll be shocked and fooled when it disappears? Do you feel the ground shifting beneath your feet? Have you positioned your business to still be visible once the curtain drops and the new payments paradigm is revealed?